اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ. Listen to this. This is inshallah something you'll appreciate. There's a 3-step argument made in these ayat that are coming that are progressively worse. They're progressively worse. Watch. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ. Whenever it is said to them, believe in what Allah sent down. قَالُوا نُؤْمِنُ بِمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا. They say, no thanks, we're already committed, we believe in what was sent upon us. We're totally committed to that. No thanks, we don't need a new message. Then Allah says, وَيَكْفُرُونَ بِمَا وَرَاءَهُ. While the case is that they're disbelieving even with what they have behind their backs. In other words, they're saying, we don't believe you, we already have a book. Allah is saying, no, you don't even believe your own book. وَيَكْفُرُونَ بِمَا وَرَاءَهُ وَهُوَ الْحَقُّ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا مَعَهُم. And it happens to be the truth, confirming what they already have. Their book has the truth, and this is the truth that confirms what they have. قُلْ. Then ask them a straightforward question. فَلِمَا تَقْتُلُونَ أَنْبِيَاءَ اللَّهِ. If you are so committed to the truth, how come your history is one of killing prophets? Why did you kill the prophets of Allah? إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ مِن قَبْلُ. Much before too. If in fact you are true believers, you got real iman already, what kind of iman made you kill prophets? Okay, you know what? Forget all the other prophets. What about the one prophet that saved you from the clutches of Fir'aun? وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ مُوسَى بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. Even Musa brought to you, he had certainly brought to you the clearest proofs. You couldn't get clearer proofs than that. ثُمَّ اتَّخَذْتُمُ الْعِجْلَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. You even took worshipping the calf after him. You didn't even spare him. You even dishonored him. وَأَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ. While you were wrongdoers. Okay, so you killed prophets. You know what? Alright. What about Musa? You didn't even spare Musa. Forget Musa, what about Allah Himself? وَإِذَا أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ. When we, Allah, took a covenant from you, took a binding contract from you, وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ. And we raised the mountain of Tur above you. خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ وَاسْمَعُوا. Hold on to what we have given to you and listen. This is who talking now to them? Allah is talking to them. Before they killed prophets, then they dishonored Musa. Now Allah is talking to them. What do they do? قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا. We heard and we disobeyed. We hear and we disobey. سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا. You are telling me that you already have iman? When I tell you believe in this book, you say, no thanks, I already have a book I have faith in. Let me tell you about your faith. You killed prophets. You dishonored Musa. And when Allah told you to obey, you told Allah directly, we hear and we disobey. What an awesome iman you have. What an amazing iman that is. Listen to this. He says, وَأُشْرِبُوا فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الْعِجْلَ بِكُفْرِهِمْ. They were made to drink the love of the calf into their hearts. It's like Allah forced open their hearts and poured the love of this animal, this idol, inside their hearts as punishment for saying سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا. Something that doesn't make any sense made sense to them. قُلْ بِئْسَ مَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِهِ إِيمَانُكُمْ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Tell them what horrible things your faith commands you to do, if in fact you are faithful. What a faith you guys have. This is all your iman tells you to do, huh? Allah calls them out. When they come out and say, yeah, we already have faith, thanks. I'll say, yeah, really? Let me tell you about your faith. Nobody knows about your faith more than I do. Let me tell you where you stand. قُلْ بِئْسَ مَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِهِ إِيمَانُكُمْ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ قُلْ إِن كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Tell them, if the final home is just for you, كَانَتْ لَكُمْ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ. Only for you, only to you will the last home belong, because that's what Jewish belief was. Paradise is only for Jews, all the Gentiles will burn in hell. We're the chosen nation means we're the only ones chosen for paradise. But Allah, خَالِصَةً مِّن دُونِ النَّاسِ, pure from all impurities, all other people. Nobody else will be there to bother you. فَتَمَنَّوْا الْمَوْتِ. Then wish for death. What are you doing here? You got to pay rent. You get old. You got to deal with these mushrikoon. They always beat you up every few months. Just wish for death and go to Allah. You got a house free of all this mess. Free of everything else. Why don't you wish for death? إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ إِن كُنْتُم صَادِقِينَ. If in fact you're truthful. وَلَن يَتَمَنَّوْهُ أَبَدًا. They will never, ever, ever wish for it. بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. Because of what their hands have already sent forward. This is an expression in the Quran, what hands have sent forward. What it means is what investments they've made. That's what that means. When hands send something forward, it means you plant a seed in the ground, your hands did work, but they've sent that work forward for the future when the plant comes out, right? So investments into the future are called what hands send forward. That's the Quranic expression for them. So Allah says the investments they've made, that's why they will never wish for death. In other words, all of their investments have to do with dunya or akhirah. If all of your investments, if everything has to do with dunya, then you'd want to stay here. Because your entire future is staked with here. If you have no investments in the akhirah, why would you want the akhirah? You have no incentive to be there. The believer spends constantly in the path of Allah. It's like the believer has accounts in two banks, dunya bank and akhirah bank. We've got two accounts. And whenever we spend money for the sake of Allah, we're not spending, we're transferring funds from one account to the other. From dunya account to akhirah account. They're both accounts in our name. But which one has more return? In this one, you cannot multiply what you save because it's haram, it's riba. In that one, Allah multiplies every dollar by 700,000 or more. Or more. He just keeps multiplying. So which one do you have? Which one are you richer in if you've been spending? The akhirah. So the believer has no problem looking forward to meeting Allah. But the disbeliever has nothing there. Has nothing there. Why would they want to go there? بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. Allah knows very well the wrongdoers. The other meaning here is they've done so much sin, even the thought of meeting Allah, they'd rather stick their fingers in their ear. Remember that? I'd rather not think about it. You ever met people like that? You talk about the akhirah, you say, can we talk about something else, please? I don't want to talk about this. This is depressing. Please don't talk about this. Can we change the subject? People like that can't stand even the talk of death, the talk of the akhirah. That's what's being talked about here. وَلَنْ يَتَمَنَّهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ وَلَتَجِدَنَّهُمْ أَحْرَصَ النَّاسِ عَلَى حَيَاةٍ. You will find these people, for sure you will find them the most zealous of people when it comes to preserving life, their own life. وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا, even more than people who do shirk. People who do shirk don't believe in the afterlife either. They don't believe in an afterlife either, but they don't care about losing their life. They'll die for honor. They'll die for just tribe. Like, yeah, I died a hero. So I don't care. The Yahud weren't like that. That's why they kept losing in battle, because the other side is fearless. Right? وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا يَوَدُّ أَحَدُهُمْ لَوْ يُعَمَّرُ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ. Every one of them wishes that if only he could live 1,000 years. وَمَا هُوَ بِمُزَحْزِحِهِ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ. And he's not going to be getting away at all from the punishment. أَنْ يُعَمَّرَ, even if he got to be given that much age. وَاللَّهُ بَصِيرٌ بِمَا يَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah is in full view of what they're up to. قُلْ مَنْ كَانَ عَدُوًّا لِجِبْرِيلَ. Then they came up with a new accusation. This prophet keeps coming out after us. Allah has taken, basically, the gloves are off, right? Allah has basically called Bani Israel and Medina out. And it's very condescending language. Allah is not polite in Surah Al-Baqarah. He just calls them out for their crimes. So they say, oh yeah, he's going to talk about us, we should talk about him. This prophet is talking about us, we should talk about him. Yeah, so which angel brings you revelation? They tell him, okay, so you're a prophet, right? Which angel brings you revelation? He says, Jibreel. Oh, Jibreel, oh God, not him. We have a problem with him. Anybody else would have been okay, but Jibreel just doesn't work out with us. We don't like him that much. So this is their new line. Anyone with Jibreel would have been fine. Jibreel, yeah, no, not interested in that revelation. Allah says, قُلْ مَنْ كَانَ عَدُوًّا لِجِبْرِيلَ. Tell them, whoever has been an enemy to Jibreel, فَإِنَّهُ نَزَّلَهُ عَلَىٰ قَلْبِكَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Then he's the one who sent it down upon your heart by Allah's permission. مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. Confirming what is already in front of him. Meaning, Jibreel has the copy of Quran, and he's confirming that in the heart of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also means the Prophet is confirming what is right before him, meaning the Torah and the Injil. وَهُدًى وَبُشْرًى. And what he has brought is guidance and good news. لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, for people who actually believe. مَنْ كَانَ عَدُوًّا لِلَّهِ. Whoever had been an enemy to Allah, وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ, and His angels, وَرُسُلِهِ, and His messengers, وَجِبْرِيلَ وَمِيكَالَ, and Jibreel and Mikael, any of them, he highlights any of them, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَدُوٌّ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. Then Allah is an enemy to all disbelievers. In other words, Allah is teaching us a very important concept in faith. If you pick any part of the faith and say, I don't like this one thing, everything else is fine, you got nothing. You've become an enemy to the entire faith. Somebody says, I like all the prophets, except Yaqub alayhi salam, I'm not a big fan. Oh, you're done. You can't pick one. You have to take all of them. كُلٌّ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. All of them believed in Allah. وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُولِهِ. All His prophets, all His messengers. لَا نُفَرِّقُ بَيْنَ أَحَدٍ min rusulihi. We make no distinction between His messengers. These guys tried to do that. Allah says, no, you're becoming an enemy even to me. وَلَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ. Certainly we have sent down to you very clear signs, miraculous signs. وَمَا يَكْفُرُ بِهَا إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ. No one disbelieves in them except the inherently corrupt. Allah is teaching us again. Nobody disbelieves in the Prophet because they're not convinced. When he was alive, the only reason to disbelieve in him, after you came into contact with his revelations, was because you had corruption inside you. Otherwise there was no justification left. أَوَكُلَّمَا عَاهَدُوا عَهْدًا نَبَذَهُ فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُمْ. Every time they would make a promise, a group among them would throw it behind themselves. نَبَذَهُ فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُمْ. They would throw it from among themselves. بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Rather, most of them have no faith at all. In other words, this is not the first time they're denying a messenger. Messengers in the past put expectations on them and they didn't care for any of those promises. وَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Whenever a messenger came to them, or when a messenger came to them, especially from Allah, مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَهُمْ, confirming what they already have with themselves, نَبَذَ فَرِيقٌ مِّنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ. A group from among the people who were given the book, through the book, Kitab Allahi, through the book of Allah, وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ, behind their backs, كَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, as though they don't even know. You know what this means? The Prophet would come and recite Quran to them, and they would recognize it immediately. This is exactly what we've been researching. This is exactly the stuff I memorized from Torah. It's confirmed, it's coming true. And they'd say, I don't know what you're talking about. كَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. They threw it behind their backs. كَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And so now Allah Azza wa Jalla will switch the topic and give us a little bit of history once again. The thing that strings all these events in history together is what you should keep in mind. Doing something wrong knowingly. That's the string that ties all of these stories together. So either Allah will come to the Jews of Medina right now, or take us centuries back to the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, or come back and talk about Jews of Medina again, or take us back to Musa alayhi salam. But the string that will always be there is, they did something wrong knowingly, constantly. And the only time they'd say they don't know is because they're pretending. كَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, as though they don't know. وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ. They followed whatever what the devils used to recite, the shayateen used to recite during the rule of Sulaiman. وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانُ, and Sulaiman himself never committed disbelief at all. وَلَكِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا. However, the devils, the shayateen, used to disbelieve. You know, the Kabbalah and the whole tradition of magic and Jewish tradition, a lot of them, they attribute that to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and Allah came to his defense and said, وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانُ. Sulaiman never committed kufr. He never did that stuff. It was the shayateen that did that stuff. The devils that did that stuff. In this ayah we're also learning that the kufr is being equated with sihr. Disbelief and magic are being made one and the same. Okay? يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ. These devils used to teach people magic. وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ بِبَابِلَ هَارُوتَ وَمَارُوتَ. And in addition to what they taught in terms of magic, they would also teach whatever was sent upon the angels, Harut and Marut. Harut and Marut were two angels that were sent in the form of human beings perhaps, that taught something other than magic. Because it says وَمَا أُنزِلَ, it separates it from magic linguistically. Something like magic. But it was made to seem to them that this is the best spell out there, learn it from Harut and Marut. Now, the word spread that they should learn the best possible thing they can from Harut and Marut. But the thing that, the caveat was, وَمَا يُعَلِّمَانِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ, they would never ever ever teach it to anybody at all, حَتَّى يَقُولَا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ فِتْنَةٌ, until they will both say, we are just a test, we're just a trial. فَلَا تَكْفُرْ, don't you disbelieve. They didn't say, don't you learn magic from us, they said, don't you disbelieve. If you learn this from us, then you are the same as a kafir. You still want it? And they said yes. That means once they learn, whatever it is that they learn, they seal their own fate. You know, I told you before, if someone wants to go towards guidance, Allah opens more doors. If someone wants to go towards misguidance, Allah opens the floodgates there too. This is exactly what that is. Allah sent two angels and said, you want to go to hell? Here's what you want to learn. You want to save yourself? Don't disbelieve. It's up to you, your choice. فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا, then they would learn from both of them مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ, what would cause a separation between a man and his wife. You know where this happens a lot? Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Algeria, Syria, Morocco, Egypt, Muslim countries. Magic. I hate that guy. Can you get him divorced? I hate her. Can you make sure her in-laws hate her too? What's the spell for that? What can I, people do this stuff all the time. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I used to teach at an Islamic school in New York. And, this girl starts just having seizures. And her family comes and says, oh no, it's her uncle. He's doing this magic and spells or whatever. I was like, what? Yeah, and we tried to get a jinn to protect her. We were reading, and they had this weird writing. We were trying to do this to protect her. A jinn would come. I was like, a jinn would protect your child? You're a Muslim, right? Crazy stuff. Weird stuff. Muslims fall into this stuff all the time. Don't just say Bani Israel were so weird, man. They did magic and stuff. Yeah. We're not that far behind. We're not that far behind. إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر. Don't do kufr. فيتعلمون منهما ما يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله. They were not ever going to harm anyone at all except by Allah's permission. Magic is useless. It does nothing except by Allah's permission. It has no power in and of itself. وَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مَا يَضُرُّهُمْ. And they only learned what harmed them. What's the ultimate harm they got from learning it? Earned themselves some hell. That's the ultimate harm. وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُمْ. And brought them no benefit. وَلَقَدْ عَلِمُوا. And they had already known. لَمَنِ اشْتَرَاهُ. Whoever purchases it, مَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. He will have no portion whatsoever in the afterlife. وَلَبِئْسَ مَا شَرَوْا بِهِ أَنفُسَهُمْ. And what a horrible thing they sold themselves for. لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Had they only known. The crazy thing is they did know. Doesn't the ayah say وَلَقَدْ عَلِمُوا? They already knew. And the ayah ends لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Had they only known? How come? The same ayah says they didn't know, or they knew, and then ends by saying if they only knew. Had they only known. Why? Because there's levels of knowledge. There's levels of knowledge. Yeah, I know. And then there's I know. I realize. There's knowledge that is reality to you, and there's knowledge that you don't care for. Islamic knowledge is like that. You can have tons of it and not care for it. And you can be told, man, you know, but if only you knew. You understand what I'm saying? Right? It's levels of knowing. We have to become people that really know. We don't just have the information. It actually has an impact on our thought and on the way we think and perceive things.